So here's the video going over the study guide, the review for the unit test on Monday. So question 1, which expression is equal to 3 to the 5th? Now, as we've talked about many times, this does not mean 3 times 5. That is bad. Okay? So that means we can get rid of choice B. The exponent tells us how many 3's. So since the exponent is 5, let me switch to something easier to write with. That means we have 3 5's. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So when we look at this, we look and say, well, which one matches that? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer is D. Now, a lot of you tend to skip over the word all. Okay, so we're selecting all equations where x is 3. When it says select all, it is never going to be just one answer. So don't choose just one answer. Okay? And you actually should take the time and figure it out. Don't just guess. This is an all or nothing question. Okay? So you need to actually get all of it right. Any piece of it is wrong and you lose all credit for the question. Okay? So what you are doing is figuring out what it is when you put 3 in. So does 3 minus 3 equal 0? Yes. So A. Does 1 plus 3 equal 5? No. Is 7 minus 3 equal to 3? No. Is 1/5 times 3 equal to 3? No. Is 6 equal to 2 times 3? Yes. Is 3 to the 2nd equal to 9? Well, that's 3 times 3, not 3 times 2. So, yes. And so those are our 3 choices. Okay. And so now, which expression is equal? Okay, equivalent just means equal to 18c minus 12d. Now, we can get rid of one choice right away. Okay, that's a minus sign. That's a plus sign. Goodbye, choice C. Okay, that's easy. Well, now we look at what goes in to 18c and 12d. Well, 18 and 12 can both be divided by 2, 3, and 6. So 18 divided by, so if I divide by 2, 18 divided by 2 is 9. So we get 9C. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Well, there's no 2 on the outside. So, not it. If I put a 3 on the outside, 18 divided by 3 is 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Well, there's a 3 on the outside. 6C, but it should say 4D, and it says 12D. So, not A. So now I try the 6. So 18 divided by 6 is 3, so 3C, minus 12 divided by 6 is 2, so 2D. Well, 6, 3C, 2D with a minus sign, so it's B. Now, the reason it can't be D, I can divide by C, and so 18C divided by C is 18. However, 12D divided by C is 12D divided by C. And so, since that just says 12D, it can't be that answer. I can't take a C out of something that doesn't have a C in it. It's like saying, I'm going to do 7 divided by 5 and get 7. It just doesn't work. Okay, it's wrong. We can't do it. Okay. Now, I don't know why the font is different halfway through this problem. It starts out big and gets smaller as it goes. At least that's how it appears to me. But, yeah, it is what it is. So it's asking us to write an equation that can be used to determine the sandwiches sold. Okay. So they receive a total of that amount of money. So that means it equals $74.25. Okay, so they sell sandwiches for $4.95 each, tax included. It'd be different if we had to find the tax as well. And then they received a total of $74.25 from the sales of all the sandwiches in one day. Or, well, not one day, but one afternoon. So morning and night might be different. Okay, so we know it's got to equal $74.25. Well, doesn't equal $74.25, so it can't be B. Now, if it costs $4.95 each sandwich, well, that's $4.95 for the first sandwich, plus $4.95 for the second sandwich, plus $4.95 for the third, and so on, until we get to $74.25. But at the moment, we don't know how many sandwiches they sold. So we're doing a lot of addition here. So since it's a lot of addition, it can't be D. We're not going to use division. Now, this says add the total number of sandwiches. Well, let's say they sold just 10 sandwiches. Well, $4.95 plus the 10 sandwiches they sold would equal $14.95. Well, that's not $74.25. So we're not just going to add the number of sandwiches. Repeated addition is multiplication. And so we're going to multiply the number of sandwiches they made, which we don't know, by the price of the sandwich. And so that's our equation, choice C. Okay. Now, number 5. Which value of C makes this true? Now, this one is super easy. Okay. What do we put in to make this a true statement? So we go and we say, is 15 minus 7 plus 0 equal to 22? Well, 15 minus 7 is 8, plus 0 is 22. Nope. 15 minus 7 plus 7 equals 22. Well, 15 minus 7 is 8, plus 7 is 15. Well, that's not 22. (15 minus 7 plus 12). Well, that's 8 plus 12. Well, 8 and 12 is 20. That's not 22. So 15 minus 7 plus 14. Well, that's 8 plus 14. Well, 8 and 4 is 12. Carry 1. 1 and 1 is 2. And so, yes. And so our answer is D. Okay. Just put the number in and see which one works. Okay, so Rosa has a running goal of 120 miles this month. Each day that she ran 6 miles. Which expression could Rosa use to determine how many miles she has left to run after running for D days? Okay, well, so she starts off with 120 miles. Well, after one day, she ran that many miles. Sorry. Let me shrink the size of that eraser. After running for one day, she ran 6 miles. Well, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. Well, so we're doing a lot of subtraction here, where each one of these is a number of days. Well, instead of subtracting for each number of days, we can just say 6 times the number of days and subtract that from 120. Because this just tells us how many miles she ran. I shouldn't have erased that, or circled that. This one just tells us how many miles she ran after D days, but not how much she has left. This tells us how many miles she ran after D days and adds it to the 120. And instead of telling us how much she has left, that would tell us how many she ran over 120. And so this is how much she had left. We have to do subtraction. Okay. Now, question 7. We've got a pair of expressions, and we want to find out which ones are equivalent, for any variable value, so any number that is greater than 0. So if I plug in any number that's bigger than 0 for x and y, that the two expressions will be the same. So for x, I'm going to use x is 5. Well, that's 4 times 5 plus 3. Well, 5 plus 3 is 8. So that's 4 times 8, which is 32. Well, then I do 4 times 8 plus 3. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 3 is 35. 32 is not 35, so not A. Now, I've got an x and a y, so now I'm going to make y 3. So I've got 4 times 5 plus 3 times 3. 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 3 is 9. And 20 plus 9 is 29. Then on the other side, I've got 7 times 5 plus 3. Well, 7 times 5 is 35, plus 3 is 38. Well, 29 is not 38, so it's not B. Well, now I have A's and B's. I'm just going to stick with the same numbers. And again, it shouldn't matter what numbers I choose, because it says any value greater than 0. So any number I pick should work. So I've got A plus A plus A plus A. So that's 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus B plus B. So plus 3 plus 3. Well, 5 and 5 is 10. And 5 and 5 is 10. And 3 and 3 is 6. Well, 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 6 is 26. And that should have been an equal sign, not a plus sign. Might as well fix the 2 while I'm at it. Well, then I've got 4 times A. So 4 times 5 plus 2 times 3. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, 2 times 3 is 6, 20 plus 6 is 26, 26 is the same as 26, and so my answer is C. And just to continue it out, I'm going to use R as 5 and S as 3, and so this is 5 plus 5 plus 3. And well, 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Go away. And that's 2 times 5 times 3. Well, 2 times 5 is 10, times 3 is 30, and 30 is not 13. Okay. Do not be afraid to actually put your pencil to the paper and do some work. Okay, you are more likely to get it right if you actually take the time to work it out. Okay, question 8. Which quantity can go in the blank to make the equation below true? Well, these all have x's. And so our answer better have an x, which means we can get rid of the ones that don't have x's. So I've got 1x plus 3x's blank equals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3, 4, to get to 7. Well, there's 4 of them. So how many more do I need to get to 7? And so that's 3. So it's just what plus what plus what equals 7. So 1 plus 3 plus 3 is 7. And so because they all have an x at the end, our answer better have an x at the end, because we're counting how many x's. Okay, 2 parts, so be sure to answer each part. Use the distributive property to write an equivalent expression. Okay, so distributive property, take what's outside and multiply it by what's inside. So 2 times 6x. So 2 times 6x. Well, 2 times 6 is 12x. Then 2 times 3. That's 6. This was a plus sign, so plus. And we're done. That's it. Take what's outside, multiply it by what's inside. Now, part B. Same thing, it's just this time we have 3 of them. We take what's outside and we multiply it by everything inside. So 8 times 1a, 8 times 3b, 8 times 2c. Well, 8 times 1 is 8, so that's 8a. 8 times 3 is 24, so 24b. 8 times 2 is 16, so 16c. Those are both plus signs, so plus. And that's it. Okay? It's just multiplication. Just don't forget the letter if it was there. Okay? Keep your variables. All right. Now, this question has 3 parts. It doesn't say it, but this question has multiple parts. Be sure to answer them all. Okay, now this one we spent a day on weeks ago. Okay, where you have to draw the diagram that represents the situation. Now, technically you don't have to draw it, it's multiple choice, so you just have to pick the diagram that represents it. Okay, so I poured 3.4 liters into a partially filled pitcher. Partially filled is X. We don't know how much is already in it. The pitcher then contained 2.6 liters. So the total from here to here is 12.6. Well, the only one that says that is this one. And so that's the one you choose. The one that says that the entire length is 12.6. Okay? Because think about it. Does it make sense that from here to here is 12.6, but from here to here is 3.4? No, that doesn't make sense. The entire thing can't be longer, can't be smaller than the smaller distance. Okay? That's like saying that, Jamar, that this bar represents Jamar's height, and this represents my height. Sorry, Jamar. Okay? Because that would say that he's taller than me, and that it takes several of me to reach his height. Okay? But this is a more accurate representation. Okay? Now, I can understand why this one is appealing, because you're adding them together and we don't know how much it holds, but it tells you that it holds 12.6. Okay? Then it says create an equation. Well, these two added together equal that. So 3.4 plus x is 12.6. We already have our equation. This bar plus this bar equals the whole length. And then solve for it. Well, 12.6 minus 3.4. 6 minus 4 is 2. 12 minus 3 is 9. And so 9.2. It's just, what do we add to 3.4 to get to 12.6? And we're done. We're good. All right. Question 11. Now, there is a 12 that has a couple of parts, a 13 that has a couple of parts, a 14, and then we'll be done. So, question 11. So, yes, this is a longer test. So, Brianna's teacher asks if these two expressions are equivalent. 2x plus 6 and 4x. Brianna says they are equivalent because the value of each expression is 12 when x is 3. Is she right, and why? See, this is the key. Explain. This is where a lot of you just sit there and go either yes, no, or you just put little fraction symbols, random numbers, division, parenthesis, plus, times, and don't actually answer the question. Okay? Take the time to answer the question. Okay? It really isn't that hard to do. Okay? Now, so if we look at it from her point of view, 2 times 3 plus 6. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 6 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. So, yes, they are But let's try another number. Let's try 4. So 2 times 4 plus 6. Well, that's 8 plus 6, which is 14. And 4 times 4 is 16. Well, so, however, they are, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. For any other value. So they are not equivalent. See, it's not that hard. You just have to put some effort into it. Okay? Yes, it's true for that value, but only that value. Okay? You don't even have to put that first sentence. You can just say they are not the same for any other value, so they are not equivalent. Okay? Now, here's a question a lot of you struggled with on the most recent quiz. It has 2 parts. Be sure to answer both parts. Here's an expression. Okay, so we're using this expression on both parts. Here's x. So that means we're doing 4 times 2 to the first. Okay, because we're using 4 times 2 to the x. X is 1. So that's 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. We're just replacing the x with whatever it tells us. And so now we're doing 4 times 2 to the x, but this time it tells us x is 4. So 4 times 2 to the 4th. So that's 4 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Well, that's 8. Do not add. Please, please, please do not add. You guys keep doing that. Okay, so now we've got 2, 2, 2. Well, 2 times 8 is 16. Well, 2 times 16 is 32. I'm going to fix that 16 because I know somebody's going to sit there and go, hey, is that a 10? Even though I just said don't add. All right. And so now we've got 32 times 2. Well, that's 64. And so that's our answer. Okay? We're just plugging in the value and finding the answer. Okay. Now, multiple parts. Be sure to answer all parts of the question. 2/7 of the students in a school are in 6th grade. If a school has X students, create an expression for the number of students in 6th grade. Use X. Okay, so it tells us the letter to use. Well, that's easy. It's 2/7 times X. And you can put 2/7 times X or just 2/7 X. Either way. Because it's 2/7 times how many people there are. Now, this is an awfully small school. How many 6th graders are there if there are 35 students in the school? Well, this just means X equals 35. So we do 2/7 times 35 over 1. Well, 2 times 35 is 70. 7 times 1 is 7. 70 divided by 7 is 10. And so 10 of them are in 6th grade. And then part C. This is the most difficult.
So we don't get paid for snow days, do we?
Okay, so this is going to be the most difficult question on the test, probably. Okay, because what everybody is going to want to do is 42 times 2/7. But this says there are 42 in 6th grade. So this means we already did 42, this 2/7. So it's 2/7 times the number of students, and we got 42. So we have to go backwards. We are looking for x. And so we have to do, since we would normally multiply, we have to do the opposite. We're going to do 42 divided by 2/7. And so keep, change, flip. So 42 over 1 times 7 over 2. Well, this is where things get annoying. 'Cause now, I know what I would do, but when I've done it, it's flipped people out. So 7 times 4, so 7 times 40, well, that's a 0, so 7 times 4 is 28. And I know you can't tell what that is. I can read my writing. And then 7 times 2 is 14. So 280 plus 14 is 294 over 2. Well, so now we do 2 into 294. Well, 2 goes into 2 once. Bring down the 9. 2 goes into 9 4 times. With 1 left over, bring down the 4. And 2 goes into 14 7 times. And so that's 147 students. And so there's 147 kids in the school. Still a small school, but it's bigger than the 35 kid school. Okay, and so this is why this is the most difficult question on the test, because everybody's going to want to do 2/7 times 42, but you have to do it backwards. Okay, this is the process for this question. Okay, and now for the last question, there are 4 parts to this question. All right, so Jada is making sparkling juice by mixing 3 cups of sparkling water with every 4 cups of apple juice. So I'm going to make a table. There we go. There's my table. Sorry, bad joke. So I'm going to use S for sparkling water and J for juice. So 3 cups of sparkling water for every 4 cups of juice. Well, if we want 16 cups of apple juice, then I'm multiplying by 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So I multiply by 4, and I get 12. So that's 12 cups. Well, for the next question, how much apple juice does she need if she needs 6 cups of sparkling water? Well, if I need 6 cups of water, that's times 2. So I multiply by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And so I've got my 8. And now it says, plot these pairs of points on the graph. So I'm going to plot. It's got apple juice on the bottom and sparkling water on the side. So juice on the bottom, water on the side. So 16, 12. So I go over to 16 and up to 12. Hey, my tablet just realized it's morning. And then I'm going to go over to 8 and up to 6. Because this was juice and this was water. So over to 8 and up to 6. Okay, and so now I've graphed my 2 points. Let S represent the number of cups of sparkling water and J represent the number of cups of apple juice. So I've got S and J. Create an equation to show how they're related. J is my independent variable. And S is my dependent. So that means it's going to be S equals. Well, I want it to equal 3, so I'm going to put 3 over 4. The original ratio I was given. And I multiply it by J. Okay, so that way if I put in 4, now if I do S equals 3 over 4 J and I plug in 4, 3 over 4 times 4, well, that's 12 over 4, which is 3. And that's exactly what I wanted to get. And so that's my answer. That is everything on the test. I am sorry that this was such a long video. Make sure to actually write things out, take your time, and do the best you can.